Hello there. All right, so I wanted to make a video to follow up on the find the seed video, just to kind of expand that idea out a little bit more. Um, what you see here are two seeds, the same way I usually do it. You've got this darker seed laid out on the horizontal axis, and there's a fainter seed in the back laid out on the vertical axis. That gives us our two seeds 90 degrees to each other. And the idea here is to just use both of these seeds to highlight where the squares will land on the circles. I've also given them different intensities. I got the darker and the lighter because there's a lot of lines that come out of this construction, and it gets very confusing very quickly. So it's a much easier just to kind of lay it out this way. The squares are going to go on the seed that are on the horizontal. Um, It just and we'll see how they lay out and how they interact with each other. Um, yeah, so I'll just get started on that. You can tell I didn't really prepare. I'm also really fighting a cough. This is my second attempt at this video. The first one had me coughing my head off straight into the microphone, so I'm trying to prevent that from happening as well. If you have longer silences, it's because of that. So at first I'm going to draw the first line across the top of the center circle, and I'm going to use a long one because, as you'll see, when that's done, this will also be the top of the two circles beside the center circle. All right, so we're just kind of taking care of that. And the reason for the 90-degree overlap, um, I think it's most useful um, because what the second seed does is it highlights the points on our circles where the squares will fall. So I mean, we've got these 2 points here, and that's dictating how we draw our lines. And you can see that on this lighter circle, as an example, it intersects this circle here, which is exactly where we need to know where to draw our lines. So this is just a quick and easy way to see that information without having to continually seek out all of our spots. And I like that it does that. Not only is it useful, but it really, again, hints at how these circles uh, play against each other, how they relate. Okay, I'll do the same thing on the bottom. Make sure I actually have a square here. And the same thing on the left. Just trying to be picky about how straight this line is. And you can see I've already goofed. I skipped over this side. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we've squared off our center circle. And now I'm just going to do the same thing over here to make it look symmetrical. Okay, so now we've got the left hand side for the top left circle, we'll call it, and the bottom left circle. We need to do another vertical line for this guy. Of course, my ruler's on my binder. I'll do another one over here. We appreciate your patience as I draw these lines, but the relationships will start to make themselves evident as we continue. Okay, so now we have squares, edges laid up, right? We're not at the square point yet, but we have these edges laid out as to where everything's falling. Where do we put the line for the leftmost circle? Well, that's marked as well on this little star pattern, this flower pattern in the middle here. You can see we have intersections here, and here, and here, and here. So let's draw that. And just for simplicity's sake, because we know these lines, I've been drawing great big long lines, but hopefully it doesn't make things more confusing. I'm going to draw these within this square. I'm just going to contain it within the square because we know this line isn't going to impact any other. There's no circle down here that this line has to go through. So I'll do the same here. Okay. So now all three circles in the middle row have squares. Let's do the same thing up here for the top. We have a right, we have a bottom. We don't have a left or a top. So to find, you can see because these are on the outside of the seed pattern, we don't have marks for where we put the compass, or put the ruler. But that's easy enough to find because we have the midpoint of the circle. So we just, with the same radius, we can mark that. Okay, I'm just gonna make this a little easier on myself. And since I have the compass, I'll do the same thing down here on the outsides and mark those points. All right. So now we've got the bottom square line of the two bottom circles. And the top square line of the two top circles. Okay, we have the points that we need for the left of this one. Again, relying on the flower pattern. And this one can go straight through because these two circles line up perfectly. Okay, so we'll go from top of square all the way to bottom of square. Okay, and now this square is identified. We'll do the same thing over here on the right side of the left square. Obviously, you need to draw an accurate seed in order for this to make complete sense. Okay. Just doing a quick check to make sure all of our circles have squares. And they do. And we end up with this neat little design. Like it's a grid design, basically. You've got some squares that are cut by half, but you get other squares that are cut in a much closer to phi pattern. And I'm actually convinced it is phi. Um, we can do some math on that to check it out. But you can even see it triplicated in some places, right? So you've got small, medium, large, and it's this relationship that I'm really interested in when looking at how the square and the circle fit together in the seed itself. Um, I think it's fantastic, and it may look like a mess of lines right here. I mean, I realize some colors will help dress it up a little bit better, but the idea that the squares and the circles would interact like this will play into some future videos I want to make as we start to look at how the star cut fits into this. For anybody that may be watching this video that has never heard of the star cut, in the unlikely event that somebody other than my intended audience is watching this video, um, the star cut is this basically an ancient method that they used to use um, to lay out measurements across a specific circle of radius. So if you take a square, and which was likely based on a circle, and you connect all the corners and midpoints of that square, and you'll see it in the future. I'll draw one out so that you can see it in probably the next video. But lines go across from corner to corner and midpoint to midpoint, and you end up with this wonderful star pattern. And it's very mathematically relevant because you've basically got triangles inside a circle inside a square, and it lays out um, perfect measurements of that square. So you can have it as, the third of the square, half of the square, quarter of the square. I think it goes all the way down to like the 11th of the square, if as long as you know which point to use and where to roll from. But I guess the point of this video, uh, just to wrap it up, is you get very, very interesting phi-related patterns inside the seed when you overlay squares onto the circles of the seed. And yeah, I wanted to share that before I get into the future stuff that I'm going to delve into. Because not only can you make something that's quite mathematically relevant, but they're also very pretty. All right, so I'll leave it with that for now. If this was not easy to follow, or you know, obviously there's a mess of lines. Like I said, it gets pretty messy. Um, Feel free to feedback and ask questions, and um, comment if you think uh, if there's a better way I could have done it. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. With that, I will sign off until the next one. Have a great day.